Incremental readings. So in this video, I'm going to focus on the difference between traditional reading, what you already experience with books, the most mainstream thing, against incremental reading. So more or less, the mindset is that, hey, in traditional reading, especially if it's on the school system, I want to focus on completion. I want to go through all of the lessons, chapters, sections, whatever the book is, right? And read for as long as possible, usually. And in contrast, in incremental reading, you'll read until the concentration fades or the pleasure dwindles that, bro, I'm bored, I move on. That I have read 2 sentences of a paragraph. That is enough in incremental reading. I don't need to read the page. A full page, that's almost never happens in incremental reading, unless you really want to. So if the focus also, for whatever reason, is diminishing, could be a consequence of that you're getting bored, right? So you will move on. It's a big difference. Then variety of the material, very few, because you will have one book, or at maximum a few articles at a time. If you're a researcher, this kind of thing, you will have a few studies to go through, all of this. But it's just one or a few. You can count them with your own fingers. In incremental reading, it's many. And when we say many, is in the dozens, hundreds, or should I say thousands. In my collection, I already have thousands. But for books, if we only consider books, I will keep it on the hundreds. But they are in parallel, not one after the other. What about the duration? The average duration of the material. Usually, in traditional reading, you spend hours, or should we say a long time. Even if it's 40 minutes or half an hour, it's something that you know that it will take a while. In incremental reading, since could be a few sentences, can last even a minute, or even less than a minute if it's easy and short to read. And the progress is distributed in many different sessions. What about the linking process? That is a key factor in incremental reading. But let's start with the traditional first. It's linear. At maximum, you will reread a sentence if you consider, oh, shoot, that's important. Let me reread this with more attention or so. But that's about it. In incremental reading, it's not only, first, it's incremental, as the word says, but goes beyond that. It's not just that you have interruptions and you go back to the text. You read it non-linearly. That means that you don't start from the start and go through the sequence. You could read in parallel a different section of the same source. In parallel. Not necessarily from the beginning. So knowledge is gradually revisited, refined, and connected with multiple times. Not just one. What is the goal in the traditional reading is just comprehend the text and finish the material. That's it. I read this text, okay. Non-fiction, or if it's more like a textbook, okay, this lesson, done. In incremental reading, the goal is to distill the most valuable knowledge, not everything there is, only what is valuable for you, from the material, the source, and retain it for life. It becomes part of you. You're not going to forget it. What you have chosen to remember. Then, handling difficult material. What you do in traditional reading. You stop research immediately, or you reread, as I hinted before, until it's well understood. Perhaps now with AI, you can select the text, ask AI, and you will continue. You still have the sequence. You do it on the spot, immediately. Because if you don't, you cannot continue. And in incremental reading, you postpone the material. The interruption will have a longer interval. You extract known facts. Hey, there's something here of value. You do the extract. And every chunk of text of the source will have their own scheduling in parallel. not the entire source. So you build foundational knowledge from other sources first, because you read many different sources in parallel. So while you don't revisit this later, because it has been postponed, you have an opportunity to build more knowledge from other parts of the same source and other sources, if this makes sense. So that is a quick overview of the difference between the traditional reading and incremental reading. Even though you still perhaps don't know what incremental reading is, at least you already know one of the major differences, and that is why it takes a little to get used to, because it's a quite different flow for your brain. That's all for now. See you incrementally.